We'll be starting in about 3 minutes, so if anybody's in a foyer or standing, please take your seats.
Dustin Ralph won't be able to make it tonight. He's one of the previous councillors. They wanted to have him just to recognize him, but he can't make it, so he wanted me to let him.
Dustin Ralph is not.
He's a previous councillor. So.
Check, 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 check.
Start at that. that end. When I call your name, just momentarily stand and do whatever. But I'll let you know when that happens. Oh, great, and there's two things. Hi, everyone. Hi, everyone. My name is Shane Smith. As president of the Raymond and District Chamber of Commerce that is sponsoring this forum, I would like to thank the audience for being here at this Town Councilors Forum and taking an interest in our election process. Along with those seated here in the theater, others will be viewing this forum from other parts of the building via electronic means, as well as on the Town of Raymond website. I would like to thank the Town of Raymond for allowing us to use this venue and the electronic means for others to view this forum. I would like to thank the candidates for attending this forum tonight and allowing their names to stand in the election process in our community. Their willingness to sacrifice their time and effort to serve our community as town councilors-elect is very much appreciated. Now, our agenda for this forum will be as follows. Brittany Bennett will sing the national anthem for us, O Canada, and then Bishop Darren Bevins of Raymond 6th Ward of the LDS Church has been invited to offer the prayer tonight. And following the prayer, I will introduce the candidates who are running for our town council. And we will proceed to that point. Everyone, please stand now for our national anthem.
Oh, Canada, our home and native land, true patriot love in all our sons' command, with glowing hearts we see thee rise, the true north, strong and free, from far and wide. O Canada, we stand on guard for thee. Oh God, keep our land glorious and free. Oh Canada, we stand on guard for thee. Oh Canada, we stand on guard for thee.
Our Father in heaven, we thank thee that we can gather together as a community tonight. We thank thee for this town of Raymond, for the people, for the opportunities. and for the many reasons that we choose to live here. We thank thee tonight for the candidates who put their names forward, and we thank thee for their willingness to serve, and we ask thee to bless them tonight, that they might speak clearly and that they might be able to verbalize those things that they would like to see in our community and that they will stand for if elected. We pray thou would bless our community and each of us, that we might have clear minds and exercise good judgment as we have this election this coming week. Finally, we pray that there might be a feeling of respect for all here tonight, and these things we pray for in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
I will now introduce the candidates for Town Council tonight. We'll start at the far end, and as I read your name, would you just please momentarily stand? Ryan B. Brown, Kelvin S. Cotto, Rachel Hammond, Joan Hicken Harker, Bryce Copeters, Ralph Price, Ken Heggie, Jim Elder, and Greg Robinson, incumbent. I now turn the time over to our moderator for this forum, Dr. Graydon Bridge.
Thank you, Shane, and thank you to the Chamber of Commerce for doing the work and putting out the money to send invitations to all your mailboxes and things like that, and thanks to the town also. Before we begin, are there any of the town councillors who are not seeking re-election with us tonight? Could you stand, please? Well, anyway, we wanted to honor them. And how about if you join me with a round of applause for the posthumous town councillors? Well, as I said last night, I looked at these flags, for those of you who weren't here, and I think a case can be made throughout the world for Canada being one of the best countries in the world. And we all agree that Alberta is the best province in Canada, and Raymond's the best town in Alberta, so we are sitting here tonight in the best place in the whole world. Place is richer and better, maybe more beautiful, but no place better than this. And I feel honored to be here in your presence and also in the presence of all these good people who have put their names forward. And I think it's great that I can say that I can call them all by their first name. One candidate is not here. Ron Fromm is on a vacation that had been planned months ago. And so he is absent, but he will be represented by his brother-in-law, Phil Merrill, when it comes time for the speeches. Now, just a bit of procedural instructions. So we only have one mic today, so you've got to line up here by this mic. As you ask your questions, I know it's kind of daunting sometimes to be up in front of everyone, but please ask a question. Please don't take this as an opportunity to make a speech. If you don't ask a question, I'll have to direct you to ask a question, so please don't feel picked on if I do that. And the candidates all know that if they don't answer a question, I'll be directing them to do that. The candidates have asked for 3 minutes for their speeches, so I'll be setting a timer for them, and when you hear my little phone go off, that's their indication that their time is about up. I'm not going to make them stop exactly on the button, but that's a little bit shorter than the speeches last night. As you know, we have many more candidates. The candidates have asked for a 1-minute timer on their answers. We had a 2-minute timer last night, so that should expedite things today. Now, the order you see the councillors sitting in is the order that they picked by a draw when we were back on the stage a few minutes ago. And this is the order that they will deliver their speeches. And after these candidates have all delivered their speeches, Phil Merrill will give a short speech on behalf of Ron Fromm, who's unable to be here. The order will be reversed at the end for their talks at the end. So without further ado, we will listen to their speeches.
I am so not surprised I picked the first number. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen and fellow candidates. I appreciate your attendance here this evening. It shows there's interest. It shows that you care about Raymond, and I think everyone here is in the same boat, so we're in good company. My name is Greg Robinson, and I am the only incumbent running for council. I want to tell you a little bit about myself and why I'm so very dedicated to this great place that we call Raymond. I have served in this community as a councillor for 7 years, and while my wife of almost 25 years has picked up the slack in raising our 4 children, as you probably have noticed on Facebook recently. When we moved to Raymond in 1999, we were immediately drawn into the culture and into the people. We're fortunate to live right across the street, actually, from Gil and Betty Evans. I hope some of you may know who they are. We got to know them quite well over the years, and frankly, I love sitting down and chatting with Gil, as he would tell me stories of his time as mayor of this town. I loved I loved his commitment to Raymond's rich history, but he also showed me a willingness for change and progress. And that is essential to ensuring our future. You see, I felt that Gil had the vision, and he could see our potential. And that's the theme for the past 7 years that I have had, is you see, I have heard from some candidates that say we will never be anything but a bedroom community, and we may never have a large business, a large factory, a large shop, whatever. But I refuse to accept barriers on Raymond's potential, and I hope you do too. We have embarked on many significant projects that will be absolute game changers for Raymond. Vic Park, a 1 gigabit fiber connection. Centennial Park, 24-hour recycling, how about that? 2 brand new subdivisions that are going up. Was there applause? Thank you. It's very loud enough for me. I have to talk to the audio guy. 2 brand new subdivisions that have come up in the past few years, and they are continuing to grow. And those are just a few things that are going very well and potentially create a very positive future for Raymond. But that, my friends, is potential. I have a quote on my brochure when you leave, and I hope you pick it up today and flip it over on the back. It says, "Growth is never by mere chance. It is the result of forces working together." And that was said by some guy named James Cash Penny. Since being elected in 2010, I immediately immersed myself in the role of council. It's never been about personal reward, personal gain, or even a title. In fact, when you read most of my literature on my website, or you hear me speak, I very rarely refer to myself as an I. I timed this speech for 4 minutes, and that's what I was told I had, so I'm just going to take my 4 minutes. I'm extremely dedicated to the role of counselor, often at great cost to my family and my career. As a bank manager, I manage a multi-million-dollar operation, and I manage a team that's driven to success. I understand how important customer service is and how to address my employees' needs. I've offered my skills in a number of ways that I see as highly valuable to this council and this community. I'm a staunch volunteer in many areas of our community, and I volunteered when I first moved to the community at the judo club, and now I spend significant time with the Raymond Playhouse Society, which I've been a volunteer for the past 13 years. I've volunteered at triathlons, town events, I've helped at the theater for many events that have gone on here. I feel it's a blessing to live in Raymond, and I hope that you agree. We need to celebrate our success and learn from our shortcomings. Progress and vision need to continue. My vision isn't merely to look down and just fix sidewalks. My vision is also to look up and see the potential that Jesse Knight saw and fiercely go after that potential. Please go to votegregrobinson.com if you have more information or questions. Tonight, we're not going to have enough time to go over every issue. My dear friends, I appreciate your attendance this evening, and thank you for coming.
Hello. Thank you to each one of you for coming tonight. You are Raymond. Let me repeat that. You are Raymond. To somebody who knows no other person from this town except you, you represent the town. We're all ambassadors for Raymond. You know, when somebody comes to visit me now, I take them on a tour of the town, and I especially take them to Victoria Sports Park. Now, I was sent a questionnaire by a number of concerned citizens, and that was spearheaded by Stuart Foss. So if you wanted to find out more details other than what you learned here, go ahead and visit and ask Stuart Foss. You know, I believe we need to run Raymond just like a business is run, but with a heart and conscience. You know, I believe Raymond can be more than a bedroom community. We're capable of much more. You know, we may need to grow a little bit in population before businesses will take us seriously, but I believe that they will. You know, one of the first things we need to do, we talk about growing, we want to make sure that the existing businesses and residents here are happy here and want to stay here. You know, perhaps someone from the town and from the council should visit our businesses and see what their concerns are. Give them a questionnaire to fill out. Now, one person doesn't have all the answers to everything. We need to work together to accomplish the seemingly impossible. Now, what's the first thing you notice when you drive into town from the different directions? You know, should we have a brochure at Town Hall that we can give out to real estate agents and people that come to visit the town and businesses for them to look at, something tangible for them to take home? You know, we could outline on this the steps necessary for residential and business development, what recreational facilities we have, show choir, things like that. You know, we could provide these to real estate agents to hand out. We need to imprint in people's minds that Raymond is vibrant and hungry for business and residential development. United we stand and prosper. Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. For those that don't know me, I'm Ken Hagee. I was raised in Raymond. Moved back here in 2003 to raise my family. I was raised by Morris and Sherry Hagee, who were heavily involved in volunteering and community service. They passed that love on to me, and that is why I'm running for town council, is because I want to get volunteerism and community service back in this town. Not that it's gone, but it seems to be diminishing in some areas. Some things that I've been involved in heavily, my wife and I both have sat on several different boards, different committees. My wife is heavily involved with show choir and the band program, which is great for our youth. I have been involved in many different committees and boards in the recreation area, such as soccer. Myself and one other individual are the ones that started the Raymond Soccer Association, and also started the West Wind Soccer League so that our kids could play soccer in Raymond and not have to go to Coaldale or Lethbridge to play soccer. And I've also spent 10 plus years as a board member on the Raymond Minor Hockey. I currently volunteer 2 different positions with Hockey Alberta as well. And as you can tell, recreation means a lot to me. Going on that note, Victoria Park I think is beautiful. I think it's amazing. I think that we are the envy of most towns around because of what we have here. I think that we need to, now that it's here, we need to expand on it, and we need to use it to its potential, to its capacity. We need to be using it as much as possible. I think the town's doing a good job right now. They got some real good people in place to to make sure that there's things down there. We got a soccer camp going on right now, flag football for kids going on right now. There's many things that are happening down there. I also think that we need to look at the maintenance in the town. Some of our roads are in desperate need of repairs. Some of our sidewalks need repairing. Some of our back alleys need to be repaired. Also, I think that we need to do some renovations on some of the playgrounds, or else replace the playgrounds. I'd love to do some more work down at Parrot Park, put a walking path around there, maybe stock it with trout so we can have a trout pond for kids to go there down there fishing. I'd like to expand the walking trail that we already have and make it so that seniors can take their scooters down there. I addressed a group of seniors and they said the walking path is great, but it's shale and they can't get their scooters down there. So it's no use to them. There's a lot of things. I'd like to make Raymond the town and that people feel welcome when they're here. And I think that on the most part they are. One thing that I notice is coming into town on Highway 845, I noticed that there's no welcome to Raymond sign. It's one of the main highways coming into town and there's no sign saying what town you're even coming into. I'd like to get stuff like that changed. I hear my timer going off. I will address you again at the end after the questions. I'm looking forward to your questions. One thing that we are very lucky, the people of Raymond are very lucky, you have 10 real good candidates running for town council. 6 are going to be chosen. Unfortunately, there's going to be 4 really good people left off that list, which is unfortunate. I am obviously hoping I'm one of the 6, so and not one of the 4. But I know most of the people on here, and I'm looking forward, if I am elected, to working with them and the new mayor, and I think that we can do a lot of good for this town. Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Ralph Price. I think, like most of the individuals sitting at this table, last night was spent making notes, perfecting their speeches, and doing their preparations. And I, too, last night developed what I felt was the perfect speech. And then I woke up, realizing that it was a dream and I hadn't prepared the perfect speech, but I do know that we have some important issues ahead of us and some important opportunities ahead of us. Just a little bit about myself. I have recently retired from a successful accounting practice and business here in Raymond, and suddenly have a lot more time on my hands. And one of the first things that I can offer in this opportunity to serve is time. I think we have to have time as councillors to do the jobs that are there for us. There's a lot of work, and it's an opportunity to work, and I look forward to that opportunity. We live in a great community. In fact, I think as we look at our community and look at the facilities, the services that we have one of the best communities in southern Alberta. And our goal, I believe, as councillors and mayor of the community, is to continue to improve this community, to continue to make it better, to make it a place that everyone will enjoy being in and living in. And how we do that, I think, is a bit of a challenge. There are many challenges that are ahead of us, but there are a few things I think that we can do that will help us make our community that much better. Some of those things include prioritizing and identifying the issues that are out there and setting timelines to complete those issues that are there. Sidewalks, streetlights, paths, parks. There's many things that we still can do in our community to add to its beauty and to its benefit, and that's part of what we need to do. We need to determine the spending priorities that we'll have for those projects and those plans. We need to determine, and this is where you as a community comes in, we will need to determine the priorities for those expenditures. How better to do that than to have the support and the direction of the community? we're an elected body to effectively put into place those things that are your choice and your desire for us to do. And so I think that as we develop that relationship with each other, we will go forward and accomplish a lot of things. 3 minutes is very short when you start to think about it. Just in final comments, just to wrap up what I would like to say at this point, and I will close with some additional remarks, obviously. We need to make our community better. And by one thing, I think we need to make it prettier. And pretty means being able to walk down the streets and see beautiful yards. And one of the issues I think we have in this community is water. It has to do with our potable water, our good water that we drink, which we struggle to drink sometimes because of obvious reasons that we're aware of. But we also have the potential to have raw water, and I think that's a very important project that we need to be aware of and think about. So we'll talk a little bit more about that hopefully in the future. I just want you to know that I am grateful for the opportunity to serve. I do appreciate those who are willing to serve, and I look forward to serving with any of these other individuals who are up here with me. I look forward to the evening for your comments and your input, and again, thank you for your attendance this evening.
Good evening, and thank you for taking the time to come and meet the candidates for this year's election. My first question is, why would anyone want to join town council? Seriously, why? Why are we doing this? Why are we putting ourselves in a situation to have our lives interrupted whenever someone has a question and we're uptown and going to get the milk, checking the mail, and those little things. But we do have 10 citizens who are willing to put themselves in that position. And I think perhaps it is because they do have a belief in this community, and they do love this community, and they want to do what's best for this community now and in the future. A neighbor said to me, "You must be very brave to run for council." Hearing her comment, I really wasn't sure I wanted to do this. I envisioned myself running into battle with a pen and my cell phone, not sure what was going to happen. My grandpa Bill spent lots of time donating time, volunteering in different areas. He enjoyed moving snow with his tractor for his neighbors and people that needed help. My dad was the town bylaw officer for a few years. He was a volunteer fireman. He was first responder for accidents, and he was there for ambulance needs. He set an example of serving in Raymond wherever he saw a need. These men motivate me to run for town council and serve my community. I want to help make it even better in the future. It's been obvious when talking to people and witnessing the turnout that was at last night's forum that there are many concerns about how this town is managed, and especially about money. The reasons why I want to join this year's council: as a teacher in Raymond, I teach students about the levels of government. The focus of social studies now is to motivate students to get engaged in their community. They do this by being aware of needs within their community and the world, participating in fundraising, volunteering, and finding other ways to help people. I see running for council as an opportunity to be an example for them to give back to my community. Qualities of honesty, integrity, trustworthiness are crucial to community service. Town councilors need to be organized, able to communicate effectively, and dedicated to improving our community. Experience as a president of 2 local volunteer groups, serving as an athletic director and coach, have given me valuable practice in this area, as well as working with public, finding volunteers, and helping to set policies and collaborating with them. I'm very proud to claim Raymond as my home and the community that I'm very proud to be a part of. Areas that I feel that we need to look into is the improvements within the infrastructure, dealing with the current debt and managing expenses so that we have a balanced budget, improving communication and increasing collaboration with people in this town, as well as those in surrounding areas. I'm very passionate about volunteerism. I volunteer, and I know that many people do. There's actually a few people in here that I've noticed there are different boards and different volunteer organizations, and I applaud them for that. Volunteerism works best when community members are aware of organizations and committees and boards where they can help serve. Some of these include the Hospital Auxiliary, Citizens on Patrol, Cultural Arts Committee, Historical Society, organized sports teams, the Raymond Triathlon, Harlan Taylor Road Race, Raymond Public Library Board, and the Ag Society. Also including is the Chinook Housing Authority, the Farm Safety, and the FCSS. We need to advertise and let the public know of ways that they can get involved. The quality of candidates here proves that there are great people in this town. These individuals are willing to meet with the public and discuss ways to improve Raymond. We are moving in the positive directions, and it would be an honor to be part of council for the next 4 years. I'm eager to get started. There's a common saying that says, if you want something done, give it to a busy person. I feel that I'm the right choice for council. Thank you.
It's quite a thrill to see so many wonderful friends and family members here at this forum to find out who you would like to have on your town council. And look at these amazing people that we have here. I am so thrilled to be rubbing shoulders with them. Let me tell you a little bit about myself. My name is Joan Hicken Harker. And you know, I've lived here my whole life, born and raised here by pioneer parents, Howard and Ethel Hicken, who happen to be sitting down here on the front row. You know, they kind of like me, so they came, which is really nice. It may sound trite, but you know, Raymond is such a great place to live, and I have lived here my whole life except for these few stints that we did away for university in Hawaii, Utah, and Alabama. And I married Bruce Zemp Harker, and I've been married to him for 46 years. So you know, when I find a good thing, I sort of stick with it. He's a very creative thinker, and you know, some of that has stuck, has rubbed off, I guess, on me. We were so excited to move back home after being in Provo and Alabama. I've had some great experience in my life, which I'll tell you about, which may qualify me to be on town council. I taught 2 years at Mary Kawakami's College of Beauty in Provo while Bruce went to school. We raised 9, I think, amazing children. So I was very, very involved in all their activities throughout the years. 7 of those children, along with 30 of my 32 grandchildren, now reside in this town. So I kind of have a vested interest in all this. That fact, along with my parents and my siblings that live here, make me very aware of all ages in the community. And so I feel like I'm able to represent you well. Another thing that makes me qualified is, you know, remember, men are from Mars, women are from Venus. Well, I have a different perspective, and I know that because I've been married to a man for a long time, and so I know men think completely differently than women. That is true. So that makes me a little bit qualified. I know when I was on town council before, and I didn't mention that, but I was on town council for, with a man for a mayor and 5 other councilmen, and I did not think the same as they did. I also ran and operated daycare naturally day homes both in Coaldale and in Raymond. We did that for about 20 years. I was the director. I was also the director of daycare naturally day homes. I had people in 6 different communities, and I was the director and managed all that. Was that the dinger? Okay. I want to mention one thing before I stop, and I don't want to overstate my time, but I want to talk about volunteerism for 1 second. Volunteers make the world go round. We have so many amazing volunteers in our community. The town council can't do everything. The employees can't do everything, but together, we can all come together. And with volunteerism, when I was on town council, we had the beautification committee. I don't know what happened to it, but we don't have it anymore. But, you know, these lights out front and the flowers on Main Street, that was our committee. Those people were amazing. If you want something to happen, get some volunteers. We need that. That is all I'm going to say. Let's get started and make something amazing happen in Raymond.
I'd like to thank the Chamber of Commerce for putting this on for us. It's really great to see such a good turnout. It was wonderful to see it packed yesterday. We have about more than half these people are going to be elected to be your new town council. And I have to say I'm in good company right now. So this is your chance to speak up, because these are the people you're going to get fired up to represent you for the next 4 years. So take advantage of that. A little bit about myself. My name is Rachel Hammond. I've spent about half my life here. I spent my childhood here. I had to move away at the end of junior high and out to the big city of Lethbridge. I moved back about a little more than 10 years ago to raise my children. I have 6 children. 3 are legally adults. The other 3 are younger, and what an advantage they have to grow up in this town. That's all they've known. And I get to raise them in this community, this wonderful community, and they're being raised in this culture of success that this town is so famous for. So I'm just really excited to hopefully give back to the community. So as a Raymondite, I identify as a Raymondite. I feel I can offer that perspective. As someone who left, I also understand how Raymond is viewed from the outside, how people perceive it. And I've returned to it, so I know what it's like to be a newcomer here. So I have a full perspective to offer a town council if elected. I want to see Raymond thrive. I want to see Raymond honor our history and take care of what we worked so hard to achieve. And I would like to see Raymond take 10 steps ahead, always be 10 steps ahead. The hot topics have been discussed a lot. I don't want to beat a dead horse. Repeat it too much. We're going to be talking about these things tonight, so I'll just wrap it up real quick before that timer goes off. The peace officers, that's been discussed a lot, and I'm really not worried. I think that that's going to be addressed regardless of who is elected. The town has made their opinion very clear on that. Transparency, I think, is an issue. I do believe the town has made good effort in communicating. However, if this many people are complaining that there is not enough transparency, then more needs to be done for communication to be effective. So I would like to see a little more review and report go on a regular basis where the town can communicate and vice versa and hear from the residents. Debt makes everyone uncomfortable, and so I'd like to review that and see what we can do about it. Maintenance, we have a long shopping list of stuff we want done. It's not so much that we want it done right now. I think the residents really want to see a plan. Just tell us when it's going to get done. Just tell us you want to get it done. So I'd like to prepare something like that and show them what we would like to do. Development, I'll wrap this up. Plainly put, a strong economy means security. So thank you for coming, and I look forward to discussing your concerns with you and maybe hearing some ideas. Thank you.
I'd like to acknowledge the people that came tonight and actually came last night. Shows a lot of community pride, and I believe that's probably one of the things that sets Raymond apart, is the pride in the community, more so than other communities. And I am excited to see the number of candidates that have put their names forward. I'm excited to possibly be one who can work with the 6 others and continue to build a community with pride. A little bit about myself. My name is Kelvin Cotto. I've been here Since August of 2000, I had the opportunity to come here as a bank manager. And unfortunately, that bank does no longer exist. We had increased business by about 15% in 3 years. Due to a personality conflict, we were told that Raymond no longer needs a bank. And so, but that conflict was a conflict that started 20 years prior to that in another community. So, but I go back, Raymond, even though I've only been here since 2000, my family has been here since being interned during the Second World War. 3 brothers were interned here, and 2 came, found that it was a good place. My grandfather was the 3rd to come, ready to head off to McGrath, and my 2 great uncles pulled him off the train and said, "You're not going anywhere. This is the place to be." And so he raised 6 children, of which 4 of them graduated from the Raymond High School. And so my family's been here for a while. I was born and raised in southern Alberta, but had spent quite a bit of time in Raymond because a majority of my relatives lived here. Having grown up in other communities, what I learned was Raymond has always been a little bit more progressive. Raymond had paved streets before most all the other small towns in southern Alberta. So it made it easier for when I got a car that I could speed up and down paved streets instead of bumpy old gravel roads. And so I came and sort of harassed the streets of Raymond when I was a teenager. Over my adult life, I have been in the banking industry from Pincher Creek to Peace River and many, many other communities. I have seen and participated and volunteered in many committees in all those communities. And what I see in Raymond is probably a step above what most other communities have and have done. The election, unfortunately, brings out sometimes the negative in what we think. Okay, what hasn't the town done? What problems are there? I believe that the election is a time for us to renew, be positive, and look forward to what we can create and become in the future. Raymond has been progressive. I believe it will always be progressive. And that's because of the residents who come here. People who come here stay here. If we look at the census, the biggest growth in the last 25 years has been in the age 44 to 64-year-old range. And why is that? It's because they feel that this is a place to raise their kids. Unfortunately, their kids are exported and we spread Raymond around the world, but they stay. They stay because it's a good community. The next demographic that has grown is the 65 plus. People who retire here. We need to remember the seniors in our community. Make this a very senior-friendly community as well as a family-oriented community. I think grandmas and grandpas love to have grandkids around, and it doesn't matter if it's their own blood grandkids or if it's their neighbors' kids. I think all of that leads to a good community. We can be well-rounded, look at the positive, and continue to look positive. In the Municipal Government Act, which are legislated to follow, our council is here to provide good government, provide services, facilities, and other things in the opinion of council which are necessary or desirable for all or part of the municipality, and to develop and maintain safe and viable communities. you know, if I'm elected, I look forward to working with these others and with the mayor and be able to make this a community that all will be proud of and we'll continue to have pride in. And I'd like to say thank you.
Thank you for being here and your support tonight. Many of you don't know me, and this saddens me, so let's get acquainted. My name is Ryan Brown. I just moved back to Raymond early this year with my starting out young family. I wish to thank you, the citizens of Raymond. You are the reason my family moved back. It is why we all live here. Family, the people, and a good standard of living in a small, friendly community. Being raised here since I was 3, I wish to state my gratitude for those who have made Raymond and my life what it is today. This has enabled me to be able to stand here before you today as a candidate for town councillor. I wish to thank those who have befriended my wife and daughter and given them a glimpse of what I grew up with. The childhood that my wife wished she had and the one we want for our daughter. I'm pleased to have moved my daughter here at the age of 1 and not 3 like myself. I moved away for a period of a religious mission and school in the States and many forms of engineering. I may be young, but my experiences are not less than my qualifications for town councillor. I've done most of the last few years working in teams dealing with cost, materials available, design, time, practicality, and overall agreement of the best way to accomplish the job at hand. This is what town council tries to accomplish. I wish to do that for you. My goal is to be with what you consider the best candidates. I hope that you'll look up here at them and not just pick the best candidate, but the ones that will bring the most to the table and be able to work together. We have a good blend of skills, attributes, and ages. I am up here to serve you, to get to know the community better, and to give back for the great benefit I was given in growing up here. Many of us are here because we have a passion for the community. I'm confident that all of us up here before you have that same passion and are up here for that very reason. We all have concerns and wish to be heard. I want to hear your concerns. I will not have all the answers or the knowledge of how to fix the problem, but hope that as a community that we can conquer our concerns, that we will continue to make Raymond not just a great place to live, but the best place to live. Thank you.
Perhaps we could just amend the bylaws and have 10 town councillors. How would that be? Okay. Questions? Oh, sorry, Val.
Good evening, all. I'm not sure how I got roped into this, but it is an honor to represent Ronnie. I just hope I can read his speech with half the gusto and enthusiasm that he would. Good evening, friends and neighbors. I have asked for this introduction to be read at this meeting because I am out of the country. I want to assure you that my absence does not indicate a lack of interest nor a lack of commitment. My name is Ron Fromm, and I have lived in Raymond since my birth in 1961. My grandfather and father owned a business on Main Street, Fromm's Jewelry, and my mother lived there above the store until her passing in July of last year. I grew up above the store in the heart of this town and spent my youngest days watching Tom Red sweep Main Street with a broom, shovel, and wheelbarrow. We took our garbage to the dump at Temple Hill and often brought home more than we took out. We had a siren that blew at noon to mark the noon hour and again at 10 p.m. to tell the youth it's time to come home. Stores closed on Wednesday afternoons and people bought most of their goods here in Raymond. I have seen a lot of good times and a lot of progress in this community, but I know that we also face significant challenges. I am married to Barbara Bridge, who was born and raised in Raymond. We have 6 children and 7 grandkids, 4 of whom are living in Raymond. I am a provisional psychologist and am the executive director of Southern Alcare Manor, which is a 3rd-stage addiction recovery facility in Lethbridge. I have worked there for 15 years. Prior to that, I was employed as the executive director of SASH in McGrath, and before that, I worked 5 years as the accounting supervisor at the Raymond General Hospital. For the last 25 years, I have also represented the town of Raymond on the West Wind School Division Board, spending many years as chairman. Having my 6th and last graduate from Raymond High School has inspired me to support Raymond from another point of view. I want to serve you as a town councillor. My opinions matter most when they are informed by what you want me as your representative to know and act upon. I can guarantee that I will put my experience to work in representing Raymond's interests in the province of Alberta. I have much experience in this area, working with ministries, unions, associations, delegations, committees, and individuals. I know how boards and councils work. I know how it is important for us to work in cooperation. As chairman of the school board, I have had many opportunities to bring consensus to groups with competing interests and seemingly irreconcilable differences. I have a great deal of respect for all the candidates and for all of the voters in Raymond who care enough to choose their representatives in the upcoming election. I know how to work. I understand the values of this community. I will show you answers to the challenges we face. The goals and plans for the town of Raymond should be directed by input from you, the electorate, and I am here to listen. Again, I would love to be here with you tonight. I am ready to roll up my sleeves and get to work. I do not have an axe to grind. I believe that Raymond is a fantastic place to live and raise a family. I am committed to improving it with your confidence and your vote. Thank you for your time. Ron Fromm.
As I was sitting there, I thought, I've got to make sure I don't forget Phil, since he's beside me instead of up on the stand, so I apologize, Phil. Okay, the candidates will have a 1-minute timer for their question. In order to make sure that all the candidates are treated fairly, the questions will rotate through the candidates, and we will have 3 candidates answer each question. So some candidates are going to be wishing they could answer a certain question, and they will keep their remarks about that question until their speech at the end, and they've all agreed to this process. Because if we let each candidate address every question, we'll be here till midnight or later. So, do we have anybody with a question?
My name is Ann Williams. I'm with the library board, a trustee there. In November, I will be coming to town council with the library budget. For many years, we've had very good relationships with the town council. Because of minimum wage going up, I will be asking for more money. My question is, would you want to give us more money, or would want to have the library close and be open less hours?
Okay, we'll reverse the order of this, and we'll start with the 3 candidates on the far end to each take a 1 minute and answer this question.
Is it on? Is it on? Can you hear me? Okay. This is a big concern. Minimum wage is going to affect everyone. I think we're going to have to move with the economy, and we're going to have to keep the library open. This is a facility that my family uses. I know many in the community use, and it is a great landmark in our town. There's a lot of history here, and we need to keep it open and share that history with others.
Finances are going to really bring an interesting turn. Unfortunately, the provincial government hasn't really taken a strong look at how the economy really works. And our library is a very vital part of the community. We're going to have to figure out the best way to adjust the budget to keep the library going. Having been on the side with that, there are others and maybe other avenues to also obtain funds for the library.
Excuse me, they're having a hard time hearing. Candidates, please keep the mic up close to your mouth.
So we may have to look at other avenues to help supplement the library. I know that it has happened this year with the Rotary Club, assisting in some extracurricular funds that needed. And so the library is crucial and vital. It's been here for a long time and will be here for a long time to come.
Okay, Anne, I see over there smiling because you know you have unanimous support, right? Right. All right. It's a yes from me.
Good evening.
Please identify yourself.
Yes, my name is Greg Ranger. The question that I have this evening is I know that without a plan, things are not accomplished as was indicated in the speeches that we heard. So I would like to know, what is your plan to reduce taxes in the town of Raymond without counting on additional people moving into the community?
Thank you. We'll start with Joan, and then Bryce, and then Ralph.
That is a very difficult question. And why did you have to ask that to me? But reducing taxes in Raymond will not be easy. It's interesting about taxes, nobody wants them to go up, but nobody wants to give anything up. So what we would have to do is find out what people want to do without, or we'll have to get more funds from grants from the province. So it's not an easy task, but I don't want taxes to go up, and it would be wonderful if they went down. I believe in miracles, and we could possibly have miracles happen, but it would probably take a miracle. I'm just saying it would. It could take a miracle.
I'd have to agree with Joan in today's day and age with the government the way it is, the provincial government, with the debts that they have at that level. It'd be very difficult for us to be able to go in and say we're going to reduce taxes for everyone without having a significant population increase in Raymond if we want to maintain the same services. If there's ways that we could reduce some of the spending we do in certain areas and reallocate, might be a possibility, but I'm really not sure if that would happen, Greg.
We get started with the difficult ones, don't we?
We do.
As I've worked in the financial business for many years, the first thing that I do when it comes time to tighten my belt or find a way to do what I can with what I have is to sharpen my pencil. And by that, I mean we need to look deeper into the costs that we have in the community. We need to determine, are there costs that can be reduced? Are there efficiencies that we can put into place that will improve what we have at a lesser cost? And I agree with Joan on one of her comments as well. We can recover some of our taxes in the form of grants. If you think about it, grants are nothing more than taxes we pay to the province and to the federal government, and we need to look closer at how we can obtain more grants for the community.
Thank you.
So the next questions will be answered by Ken, Jim, and Greg in that order. Go ahead, Pam.
I'm Pam Stewart. I had several questions for you, but once I listened to you talking up here and what your thoughts and your plans are, I heard the word volunteerism over and over and over. I volunteer a lot for the town of Raymond. I sit on 3 boards right now, 3 societies that are absolutely struggling to have new members come in to help us on these boards. And you're talking about volunteerism, and I know lots of people volunteer for sports and that in town. How do you propose to get more volunteers to come out and help the organizations right now that are struggling to have full boards, to be able to have volunteers that will come and help do the things that need to be done, and to be able to keep these organizations as a very vital part of Raymond, because they really, really do an awful lot for Raymond that probably most people don't even know that they do behind the scenes. So how are you going to get new volunteers out?
Thank you.
That's a very good question. Thanks, ma'am. Is this on?
Yeah, just get it close to your mouth.
Okay, thank you. Pam, you're right. I don't know many people who volunteer more than you do, because I know you do a tremendous amount of volunteering in this town, like many others do as well. The question, I believe, was how am I going to get more people to volunteer to sit on these boards? We talked about this after the forum last night. I was talking to a few people out in the lobby, and they said that they aren't aware where they can volunteer. They want to volunteer, but nobody tells them where they can volunteer for. And my question to them was, have you ever picked up a phone? Have you ever called these associations? Have you ever called the Chamber of Commerce or the Rotary Club or the Lions Club to see if they needed help? And they hadn't. They hadn't even thought about that. So I think if we can do some more advertising and let people be aware of the great organizations we have in this town, because we have amazing organizations and we have great people running those organizations, I think that there'll be more people stepping up that are willing to volunteer. Because I know the volunteers are out there. We just have to let them know what there is out there that they can volunteer for. Thank you.
Pam, I appreciate your question, because I wasn't aware that there was that many organizations struggling. Maybe I'm out of the loop. What we have to do, invite a friend. I think to get volunteers, you have to specifically ask people. That's my opinion. If you just, if you're some association and you just ask for volunteers in general, not many people put up their hand. But if you go to a specific person and ask them and make them aware of the struggles and their need for them, I think that's the best way to get them involved. Thank you.
Thank you, Pam. Where are you? The back. There you are. Raymond tends to suffer from the STIP dilemma. I'm sure many of you have heard that. Same 10 people. Pam probably would be one of those 10 people. But we have a number of other people that really are dedicated to this community, and frankly, I give them my thanks. But we need more, and Pam has an excellent point. One of the groups that I started a number of years ago was our Tourism and Economic Development Committee. One of the things that we identified out of that committee very, very quickly was that the town needs to participate more in helping connect these groups with the community. Many people pay attention to the town, but often there's a quiet voice behind there with our organizations, whether they be nonprofits, just community groups, just really good people that want to put on a bake sale, what have you, that they want a point of contact. They want the town to offer up some value to help them grow. I firmly believe that this council needs to look at that. How do we share that information? Share a central calendar, share a point of reference, assign somebody in our town office as a community person. This person is a point of contact that we can work with our community, with our groups. That's what happens. That's how we connect people in. And frankly, that should happen next term.
Our next question will be answered by Rachel, Kelvin, and Ryan in that order.
I'm Tom Palmer. My question pertains to our peace officers. It's been my observation that our peace officers are rather enthusiastic about traffic enforcement. It appears to me that they routinely issue rather minor, even petty tickets, rather than going after some of the bylaws that are left ignored. As a councillor, what will be your direction regarding the role of peace officers should play in our community? In other words, what should they be enthusiastic about?
They should be enthusiastic about the community. It's a hot topic for me. I don't know if I can do this in 1 minute. I don't think the peace officers should be lurking and being really ticket heavy. The priority should be peace. They are peace officers. I would like to see them actually, we really need to mend the relationship they have with the community, and I'd like to see them have a presence and a positive role in the town. What's that? I feel like that was a fun minute. There you go.
Very good question, Tom, because I turned the corner at Ridgeview Lodge and they were parked right in front of your driveway. And I didn't stop for the 1, 2, 3. And my grandson goes, "Papa, you're in trouble." And he was right. I think we have to take a look at the mandate as what they need to do. I believe town safety is a priority. Traffic is part of that, but the bigger part is the vandalism, some of the things, other things that happen late at night. They need to have a presence at different times. And as a council, we need to take a look at that and then give them their mandate rather than let them sort of do what they think they need to do.
That's a very good question, Tom. I feel we have RCMP here right now. They are the ones who should be issuing the tickets. Now, the question is, with the expansion of the town, are we going to still have the RCMP, or are we going to have just the peace officers? And that's something that needs to be looked into as far as cost, available bodies.
Ryan?
Yeah. Oh,
can't hear you.
Thank you. But that'll be something that needs to be looked at as far as cost and who we should have regulating what part of our community for safety. I feel like the reason has caused a disconnect. We should have it where when we do see the peace officers, it's was my seatbelt buckled or my speeding. We need to have it as where we look at them as someone part of the community who's doing their job and helping us to have a safer community. So there definitely needs to be a new direction for them. And I'm excited to look forward to that as a council, and with cost in mind and all those bearings, be able to determine the best outcome for them.
The next question will be answered by Ralph, Bryce, and Joan in that order. Go ahead.
My name is Stacy Oler. On the candidate question and answer website, one of the candidates mentioned something about unlimited amounts of water, and I quote, "Water is an asset for manufacturing or any other business ventures requiring those resources." My question is, what plans do you have for our water?
Thank you. A very, very important question, and I think that question is twofold. We have an issue with our drinking water, our potable water, that needs to be addressed. We need to determine how, what, and which direction we can go to improve the drinking water in our community. Water is a very important commodity. It can be and will be, I think, more expensive as time goes on. How is our community, therefore, using the benefits of raw water compared to potable water? We do have a partial raw water system available to the community. That raw water system needs to be expanded, improved, and the benefits need to be available to everyone in the community. I think many of you look at your bill each month, especially through the summer months, and realize that you pay quite a bit extra for water, and that's because it's treated water. And we need to determine a method, a plan, and a way that we can address the water issue. It can't be done in 1 minute, unfortunately, but there is an issue, and this was one thing that I really would like to see attended to. Thank you.
Continuing with that question, raw water, I know a few people that are on the raw water system, and it's very, very viable. I've talked to many people within the town that would love to be on raw water, but the town has come and said that it's too expensive to get there. There have been people that have done their own investigations of what it would take, and I think that we do need to approach that and use that in a much better way. Going back to our potable water, I know the Mayor, George Bonney, has been investigating this a little bit, and I think that with the way that our water flows in the in the ridge, the water's become stale. It's not flowing, it's not moving. Maybe some more consultation with RID and other development groups that have been involved in the hydro plant. Maybe we could still continue to investigate and come to a conclusion as to the best way to deal with our water issues.
Water is an amazing asset for the town. However, you really wouldn't know it if you saw all the brown lawns in town this summer. I agree with the other councillors when it comes to raw water. We need to look at ways to make our town more beautiful by using that water. That asset can also be used in many, many forms in businesses and attracting people who will come with businesses. I mean, you have to have water to have a good community, and that is one of our major assets because it's gravity fed from the lake. So we need to look at creative ways to use that asset to attract people to come to our town because we can give them that asset which will make our town better and more beautiful.
I don't mean to think that you're abusing it, but can you all hear when that goes off, can you all hear it? Okay. If you need to go longer, feel free, but that's just a reminder for you. Next question will be answered by Greg, Jim, and Ken in that order.
My name is Janice Ackroyd. I have a concern about safety and the fact that we need to be more pedestrian friendly in this town. And I wondered, my question is, what would your focus be about enforcing bylaws about residential snow removal so that people can walk on the sidewalks in the winter and not on the street, which is usually terrible and narrow and icy. And I watch children in the street every day walking to school. There's probably hundreds of kids in this town. A small community, that would be the case. I happen to live on a street with no sidewalks, and the new subdivisions have no sidewalks. So what's your opinion about extending sidewalks in areas where there aren't any so people are not forced to walk in the street, and enforcing snow removal?
You're up, Greg.
Thank you. Thanks, Janice, for your question. Every year, council gets very heated phone calls and emails about snow removal. No one likes it. No one likes it thrown in their driveway. No one likes it when someone doesn't shovel their walks. All of those things are absolutely an issue. We find a difficult balance, I think, this is personally me speaking, where we get heavy-handed with certain things with bylaw enforcement. We've heard tonight about how many people don't like getting tickets. And in one hand, we want more enforcement, on the other hand, we want less enforcement. And it's difficult, I think, that this next council is going to have to always find somewhere in the middle that they can balance. What are we going to focus on? What can we enforce? And what's important? I 100% agree. People should shovel their walks. Now, that doesn't always mean they're negligent. We talked earlier about volunteerism. Where's those angel helpers that can go around and help shovel your neighbor out. I've done that a lot, and it's part of our due diligence as good neighbors, as good community members, to help our neighbors out. The town has a responsibility, of course, to make sure that safety is intact, and I think that that goes right back to the peace officers and back to administration and saying, this is something that we need issue. We need patrol on sidewalks and identifying those people who are flagrant at not shoveling their walks, and those people should get their notice. Those that have just been away for a few days, I don't mind cutting them some slack. One issue you brought up real quick is lighting. You didn't bring that up, but I'm going to add it to your list because walking and lighting go hand in hand. This town has been given a bad deal from Fortis. Our LED lights, while they save us money, are junk. That's my inside voice. We have asked to arrange a meeting with Fortis, and I'm trying to be very careful because they're a little sheepish about meeting with council. I want to assure them that we want to meet with them, but we want to find a solution that works for Raymond, but can still save us some money in the end. It's all about the expense, and it's all about safety. Let's find a balance. Let's make sure those things are prioritized. Thank you.
That's a good question. On streets like mine, there is no sidewalk. So either you walk on somebody's lawn, or else you walk on the road, which isn't safe. What I've noticed, if you're talking about giving out tickets, I work downtown, I have a business downtown. Those flashing lights are great, but it's been my experience that many times the car will just go whizzing right by me, and just, if I don't notice, I look both ways now. But if I'm a young child, somebody's going to get injured or killed there. If I was a peace officer, that's where I would focus. Because our youth, so let's do something. I'd rather have somebody get a ticket for that than to have a child killed.
That was a very good question. The first question, I think, was safety, and then you went into snow removal. I guess I'm one of the fortunate ones. I don't have to shovel a sidewalk for my house. I don't have one. But I do have a driveway, and I try and keep it shoveled as much as I can. And I agree with Greg. I think that as neighbors, we need to do our due diligence and help each other out, and especially those that aren't able to remove snow from their sidewalks. There's a lot of seniors that still live around town, and a lot of people that have disabilities that could use some help. And it'd be nice if we had, I see it advertised in the paper all the time, snow angels. And they're just people that just go around and clean sidewalks in their spare time. I think that'd be great. I think the town does a very good job around the schools, though. And so as far as the kids going to school, I mean, the town's up there at 6 o'clock in the morning or earlier, making sure that the snow is removed around the schools for the safety of our children, which I think is great. Going on to the safety aspect, I agree with the lighting. I didn't know what the problem was with the lighting, except for they're not very bright. I didn't know it was a Fortis deal, but I guess we could discuss that. Also with sidewalks, to make it more safe, is we need to repair our sidewalks. There's a lot of sidewalks in town where they are heaved from tree roots or other things, and a lot of broken cement, a lot of rubble, and that's due to the fact that years ago when they poured the sidewalks, they didn't put any rebar in the cement. And we all know if there's no rebar in the cement, well, then the sidewalk just breaks up. So I think we need to repair them, and also we need to increase the number of sidewalks we have so people can walk on the sidewalks instead of on the streets. Thank you.
The next question will be answered by Kelvin, Ryan, and Rachel in that order.
My name is Bob Stewart. I've lived in this town for some 30 years. The other night, I was given an address to find. I had no clue where it was. I asked other people where it was. They had no clue where it was. When are we going to get realistic and get real street addresses that real people from Raymond, Lethbridge, delivery guys, truck drivers can find?
a very interesting question. Having gone and lived in many, many communities, it makes it difficult when you say, yeah, I live at 85 South, 50 West. Over time, people in Raymond do understand that, but unfortunately, our courier services don't. And so I don't know if there's a direct way. It's something for council to consider. There's a cost to doing all that, and we need to weigh out the cost and balance that with the confusion or the lack of confusion. So.
This is a very good question. Just yesterday, someone asked me where the hospital was, and this guy didn't look in a panic, thankfully, but I did give him the directions of go down here, turn left, go down there, turn right. That does need to change in town, especially for people who are looking at this place as a place to move to. This doesn't appeal well to visitors. They get lost, they get frustrated, and no one likes to ask for directions. So with that, it does need to change. It's a matter of allocating someone to do it and making sure that they're doing it to the standards that are going to be understandable. So that is something that does need to change. Thank you.
Just when I think I've mastered it, I'm wrong. So I agree with you, it is confusing, and in all fairness, some of those couriers, when I lived on Main Street and I told them above the video store, they still could not find me. I went out with chalk and drew arrows towards my door and they still could not find me. So it's quite possible that we could make all these changes and the courier system still couldn't find us. It's something we could look into. I think it came from our Utah ancestors, but I think we're one of the few that are hanging on to that, so it might be something to look into, yeah.
Our next question will be answered by Bryce, Joan, and Ralph, in that order.
Hi, my name is Cindy Fife. I have two questions, so I'll loop to the back of the line so that everybody gets a chance.
Just one question, please.
I know. That's why I said I'll go back into line. So my first question is, I've heard a rumor about renovations, restoring the Raymond home. You know that, everybody knows the building I'm talking about. I want to know what your stand on that is. That's my question.
That's your question?
Yep.
The Raymond Care Center, and I talked about this a little bit in our biography, the thing we did with the questions for Stuart Foss. My belief that if we can maintain some of our historical sites in town and reuse them, repurpose them, that's great. If we can't, and there's not a development group that wants to come in and take on that onus, and the land becomes more valuable for someone else to come in that wants the land to use it to build something else that's going to bring people to town and create jobs and possible development in that area, I think that's valuable too, that we need to consider that. But it all does come back to what we do as a council and how we discuss this with the mayor, because it is an important issue. And to go back to the community with this is also, I think, a very important part, because this has been a hot topic of discussion in the last little bit. Stuart Foss's group have done a tremendous job of researching and trying to find out as much information for us as we can. I talked to Mr. Tatlow a little while ago, about a couple months ago, and he informed me of a lot of information that was valuable. But again, I think that this would be a community decision, and we'd have to look at both sides of the costs and what we could do with it.
I echo that. You know, when I was on council last, this is when this kind of all came about, and I need to tell you that somebody came, an outside person from the province came and gave us a report on that building. The report was it was in disrepair. There was so many possibilities of asbestos and the long list and the soil and all those different problems, and which seemed odd to me because just about 15 years earlier, they had added a swimming pool and the other outbuildings. Now, the only thing I can think of is there must have been some ulterior motive for that group to move those residents in the Raymond home somewhere else, or there must have been something going on that we didn't understand. We don't have all the facts yet, but it would be wonderful if we could keep it. But I heard somebody say last night, good, better, best. What we need to do is figure out what would be the best case scenario, but we do not have all the facts. We need all the facts, or we can't make a decision, that's for sure.
I agree with what has been said already on this. We, as a group who will form the new council, don't have all the facts yet. In my discussions with those who have been involved with the program or with the process of saving that building or demolishing that building, there are many issues still on the table. There are many discussions yet to be completed in order to make a sound decision. I am so much in favor of history. We have a beautiful Main Street that has many historical buildings. The community has many historical buildings. They are a part of our history and our heritage. If we can save them, that's what we would like to do. But we do need to, as Joan referred to, determine the best option for that particular facility, and that's my goal as a councillor, to determine what that best option will be.
The next question will be answered by Jim, Ken, and Greg in that order.
Hi, my name is Amelia Quinton. My question also takes in what she just talked about. At last night's forum, a question came up about dog parks and that we need one. Well, currently right now, there are no residential lots for outside people wanting to move into Raymond and build a home. We do have 2 subdivisions, but the town currently does not have any lots available. So I would like to know your opinion on having residential lots to bring a wider tax base into our town versus a dog park, which is a popular idea, and I'm not saying it's not a great idea, or saving a building which is beautiful and I would love to save it, but if we can bring in and widen our tax base, what are your opinions on those things?
First, I'll answer. Do you want to do all 3 questions? On the dog
Did you
park.
ask 3 questions?
The dog park is easy. Where the green strip runs, where it's the widest portion of it, I would just fence off an area there where people aren't walking. It's simple, and put poo bags there. With regard to development, I think the town should be actively involved in helping in developing lots. So when people move here, they have got a turnkey sort of, if somebody wants to build a house, things should be ready to go, whether it's residential or commercial. Do you want to repeat your 3rd question?
That was it.
The town should be actively involved so that when people come, the lots are ready to go. We have to be ahead of the development, not lagging behind.
Thanks, Amelia. That's a good question. Being raised in Raymond and knowing the people of Raymond, I think we do all those things. I don't think we have to limit it. I don't think we should have one and not the other. I've thought about the dog park since it was brought up last night. I had a good visit with Hugh Hill after the forum last night. He's the one that brought up that proposal. And I started thinking there are different locations. One is one that Jim just said, that we put a dog park. It's not going to take a lot to have a dog park. It's just, you know, a fence and, like I said, some bags to clean up. And I think you can even put a couple things in there, a couple of obstacles for the dogs to run around on and stuff. As far as the lots in town, I am aware of the 2 subdivisions. I think that it's very important that we keep on growing as a community. I'd like to see more people move into this community to increase our tax base. I believe that's about the only way we're going to keep our taxes down. I don't know if we're going to reduce the taxes, but with a bigger tax base, we'll be able to keep our taxes to minimal, and I think that's very important. And as far as the the old side. It's been so many things over the years. I don't even know what to call it, but I think that I know of a private group that is interested in buying it. But saying that, I would like to see, I'd like to explore that idea and sit down and talk with them and see what their plans are for the building and go from there. And also, if that's the case, I know the government is willing to pay right now. It's going to cost, if it is torn down, it's going to cost a couple $1 million to turn it down and clean it up and everything. And I've talked to this individual, and I believe that he is willing to put up a bond to cover that cost if he doesn't follow through with what he wants to do with it. I hope it doesn't come to that, because I love the history of Raymond, I love the heritage of Raymond, and I have a lot of history there with my great-grandparents, my grandparents. My mom used to work down there. So I'd like to keep it if we could. Thank you.
Okay, Amelia, thank you for your question. On dog parks, just like Jim Elder has mentioned, there actually is some plans that the town has actually looked at around the walking trail, and that would be very easily done, and so long as the town maintains it. There are some lots around town that we don't always maintain, and that comes up often at council, so that was my caveat, to make sure that we maintain it, that it's fenced, and there's some doggy bags there. In terms of development, Amelia, I chair the Tourism and Economic Development Committee, and we made a proposal to Town Council this year as part of our marketing plan. We put a marketing plan on the table, which encountered going on the road, actually. We hit Calgary and Lethbridge to promote the town and building in the town. We asked them to consider an option of waiving development fees. And that we felt at the time that that would be a very useful tool to attract development in our town. Council did not approve with that at the time. So I'm hoping that perhaps this next council, should I be on this council, I will definitely raise that question again. Can we look at our development fees as a short-term solution and say, you know what, from the next year, we're going to waive our development fees and bring more growth to our town because it holds off the taxes. Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to shift the groups up so you're not answering with the same people each time. So the next question will be answered by Kelvin and Ralph and Jim, please.
In case you forgot, I'm Cindy Fife. I just have a very basic question. It's my understanding our arena is not used on Sundays in the winter. Am I correct on that? Okay. I would like to know what your stand is for use of that arena on Sunday.
It's sort of a similar question, or what was posed to council prior to the summer in regards to the pool. That arena is being, I guess, used, or the ice is still being kept, but there's no one to typically manage it. I know in conversations that I've had with the recreation committee that it's a matter of having the personnel to work that Sunday. There is someone who has looked at saying that they would work on Sunday. It is revenue to the town. It will also increase, or decrease the cost that the arena poses to the town. I believe we probably will at some point have that arena open. I believe there's places that will, teams from Lethbridge and whatever, that would be wanting to use it and use it all day. The cost to operate it could be minimal, and so it's something for the recreation committee to review and then bring a proposal to council, and then we'll make a decision from there.
Thank you, Cindy, for the question. I look at it this way. We have a golf course facility in the community, which is open on Sunday, and it provides a service for people from out of town who have an opportunity to come to the community, to get acquainted with the community, and to actually spend money in some cases in the community, and we hope a lot of money when they come. I believe the ice arena potentially could offer those same facilities and those same opportunities to attract people from out of town. The key in order to do that is, can we maintain it? Do we have the ability to provide the service for them without putting our staff in positions that are uncomfortable for them? But I do believe that there are benefits from that possibility, and it's something I think that we could look at and should look at as a council. Thank you.
Jim?
Thank you. I think a lot of the responses have pretty well answered that. I mean, I'm not in favor of Sunday sports, but in reality, there's people that are. And so we live in a democratic society. So I would have to have a real groundswell of people who'd want to have it open on Sunday. I would not keep it open just for a few people, but there'd have to be a large number of people that would want to have it open on Sundays. Thank you.
Our next question will be answered by Ryan, Joan, and Ken in that order. Do we have another question? Come on down. If you want to. Okay. They won't hear you online if you don't come to the mic, so.
My name is Elaine Selman, and I want to know if you are prepared as a council to seriously study the job positions and the overlapping of employees, where you can maybe cut down on the total amount of employees, both from the outside groundwork people into the office staff. I believe it's quite heavily top-heavy. So are you prepared to look at that and not give family patriotism and reduce the number of people where they're needed, where it's needed to be reduced?
That's a good question. This past summer, I was actually working for the town in their recreational department, so I got to rub shoulders with a lot of these guys who are working. I know with a lot of the landscaping and increased groundwork that's been happening around Vic Park and around the golf course, there have been a few more employees that were hired this year versus other years. As far as top-heavy, the ones who are in the salaried positions are in for a contract, so you'd have to look at that and see when are their contracts up. Are they meeting their job description? Do we need to alter it? Do we need to do cutbacks in that form? If we do too many cuts, you are going to sacrifice in other areas of our parks and recreation, which is a big producer of people coming to our town. We have a great town for recreation. I'd like to keep it great, but I definitely would be interested in looking at those costs of what it does take to maintain it and determine what is vital, what is non-vital, and the best interests of the town.
I'm not just talking about sports and parks. I'm talking about administration and use of the town trucks that have no label on them.
Yeah, my experience is in that department, though. That's the areas that I do know. So, thank you.
Okay, Joan?
I think that is a wonderful question, Elaine. I know from my experience, this is all I can tell you, that when I was serving on town council 12 years ago, the whole administration, crew, everything was about half what it is right now, and our town hasn't doubled. Now, I do understand that there is an initiative with other communities. Some of those positions are shared. There's a lot to learn about that, but that's a big, important question to me, because, you know, all my life, when you run your own business or you run your own family, you can't just spend money if you don't have to. You have to figure out where you're going to get the biggest bang for your buck, and then you've got to be careful with your resources and manage them properly. And it seems to me right now we have an awful lot of managers. Sometimes it seems like for the same thing. But that's just my perspective. I don't have enough information yet, but I will find out. I promise you.
That's a tough question. It's a hot topic. I appreciate the question, though. Where do I start? First of all, we do have to understand they do have contracts, and a lot of the employees are under union, and so you have to look at that. I don't know what the legal aspects are for that. I do believe that every job, not just the town, but every job needs to be looked at, and what you have to ask yourself, are you getting what you're paying for? Are you getting, like Joan said, the best bang for your buck? I'm not sure what their wages are. I'm sure they're very well paid. I'm sure that they're, as well paid as other communities pay their employees. But we have to ask ourselves is what are they doing for that, and are they doing the job that they were hired to do? I had my eyes open this summer. My son worked for the town, and I drove him to work every morning, and we're down there by 6:30, 6:45, and some of those management people that you're talking about, to my surprise, were on their hands and knees, spreading the sod and doing the actual physical work. They're not just sitting in the office, and so that opened up my eyes. And so the truth, are they doing what they're hired for? Are they going above and beyond what they're supposed to do? And that's something that I'm willing to look into and to investigate, and I'd like to learn more about it, but I definitely would like to look into it, though. Thank you.
Our next question will be answered by Greg, Bryce, and Rachel in that order.
So as we look at the great relationship that we have with the County of Warner, I do look at how much our services within town, the County of Warner, people within the county and that benefit from, but yet often the county doesn't pay their fair share in providing in using the services that we provide. So my question is, what steps would you take to make the county and the town of Raymond have a more equitable relationship?
That's okay. Thanks, Pam, for that question. I actually have some data for you today. I know, I'm a banker. It happens. Listen, is Ann still here? Ann. We get, so the library expenditure is $177,000 per year. And that includes, that's mostly the staff, but there's other salaries and other fees that are built into that. The county contributes $4,519. That's roughly 2.5% of the expenses that go towards a library that are issued from the county. That supports what Pam is saying. Up to 2015, we received about $19,000. I'm going to give you a success story now. $19,000 from the county towards our fire services. $19,000. This fire department spent at least half of the time putting out fires in the county. You as residents pay the bill. 3 years ago, the town started a committee, and there's been a lot of talk about committees and how useless they are, and I'm here to tell you that's so not the truth. This committee was started with George Bonney, Barry Woolsey, and myself. We negotiated over 3 years for a 50-50 equitable share in the fire department expenses. That is unprecedented, and I don't hear clapping, but that, I'm telling you, I'm very happy about that. That deal added about $100,000 to our bottom line. Now, if you want to talk about the time spent, the work that goes into the council, all of those things, that's what happens, Pam. You get active, you work with the county. You can't go after them. They're not going to pay their share if you just demand. You have to work with them and show them the value that our town has to the county residents. Their people use the libraries. Their people use the ice arena. Their people, they consider themselves Raymond, and we should too. But we need to find a way to open the door and have a better discussion, a positive discussion, and say, hey, we can make this work. We can solve the situation and solve the problem and make it equitable for both. Thank you.
Greg, that's good information with the fire department. I heard about that a few years ago as my brother is on the fire department. By the money that the county is now putting in with the cost sharing program, they've been able to buy much more additional equipment because, like Greg said, they do provide a service out in the county, and most of the time they're out in the county fighting fires just outside of town. As a Raymond Baseball Board, we've looked at the fact that we have lots of kids and youth coming and using our facilities, our baseball facilities, and we're buying equipment. We have had discussions the last little bit about increasing our fees to a certain extent for those outside of our community. We know that our community members, we're paying our taxes, and we're trying to keep our fees as low as possible for those community members we have in town because of that reason. I have spoken with a few people from Sterling that had actually talked about increasing their costs, voluntarily giving us money for use of our facilities, especially with Victoria Park the way it is, and some of the areas we have with baseball and softball. So those are areas that we can continue to explore and discuss amongst the council and the mayor to see the best way to collaborate and work together with those outside of town and those within town.
It sounds like another classic lack of communication problem that we could probably avoid if we talk to each other more. It sounds like there's a lot of give and take going on that, and it'd probably be a lot less misunderstanding if we communicated with each other more. We have a lot to benefit from each other.
The next question will be answered by Ralph, Jim, and Kelvin in that order. And these are the last two questioners, please. The people that are already up.
I know this was brought up last night, but I wonder why we couldn't have some decals on the town vehicles so we know who they are and where they are. I'm Nels Johnson, by the way.
Thank you, Nels. We know you. We appreciate the question. I believe it was addressed fairly solidly last evening, but my feelings on that are very, very specific. We need to identify our vehicles and our equipment. It's a non-issue in my opinion. We need to know where they are and we need to know what they're being used for. So identifying our vehicles is important and it will be done.
That's a good point and simple to solve. I worked for the federal government. On its side of each vehicle it said Government of Canada, and there was also an identification number for that particular vehicle. What I think we should have is a symbol on the side that says Raymond, home of the first stampede, and have a fellow on or a lady on a bucking horse there. It is advertising for the town.
Yeah, I agree with the comments that have been made. It's an easy fix. It's one that we can take and address fairly quickly. So I don't know if that's a real big issue moving forward.
Our last question will be answered by Joan, Ken, and Ryan in that order.
I'm Stacy Horlings, and I would like to know, you guys are talking about attracting people to our town. Why are we the only town that has a golf course that doesn't sell alcohol? People like to go and have a friendly drink on the golf course, and a lot of people drink.
That's a good question. I know when the town was founded, the land was given by Raymond Knight because it was mandated to be a alcohol-free town. Now, I believe we're outside that time limit, but tradition is holding true. We can look at that, and the town council, when I was there, looked at that several times. You can get a license to have, for special events, to have alcohol. I do know that. And that may suffice, but we need to look at all sides of the question and find out what's best for everybody. We're getting to be a very diverse community, and so our ideas have to change with the diversity of our community as it grows, because it's growing.
Sorry, I didn't know I was next. That's a good question. I've talked to many people about that over the years. One problem we solve is our peace officers get their quota within about 10 minutes after golfing on a Friday night. You can just park outside that gate and they can just give out all the tickets they want. But yeah. Well, as far as licensing the golf course, I know that, like Joan says, you can get licenses for special occasions. I know people that have done that for special golf tournaments, and they've got the licenses. If you think that there's no alcohol down there, then you're kidding yourself, because I golf not very much and not very well, but my boys go down there, and if you look in the garbage cans down there on all the holes, there are beer cans and there are whiskey bottles. People are bringing the alcohol here anyways. It's something that I'd like to discuss with town council. I'd like to discuss with the people. I think we, as a town, are losing a lot of money, because there's a lot of money that people are bringing in from outside of town and drinking it on our property, and we are losing a lot of money, a lot of revenue in that, and that could go to help the town better, to keep our taxes lower or to whatever. We are losing a lot of money by not doing that. But I know that there was a bylaw years ago. I don't know if it's still in effect or not, but it's something I'd definitely like to check into. Thank you.
It's a good question. If you go out Monday morning on the golf course, not only are those cans full, but they're overflowing with beer cans. So there is a lot of drinking that does happen out there. Now this is something that you can bring them, obviously, but that is a hassle for many who do enjoy that. It's a question of, with what Joan said, is that still standing, the donation of the land for the town? If that's a case, it needs to be held true to, but if we're past that, then that is definitely something that should be looked into to help bring in more people to Raymond, more revenue, and increase the quality of life here for everyone. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We've had some excellent questions, an excellent crowd, excellent candidates. Candidates, are you happy with 4 minutes? Anybody unhappy with that? Up to 4 then. I know I'm going to change my ringtone. I'm so sick of hearing this go off. I'm never going to listen to it again. So we'll go in reverse order. So come down the table in order. Ryan, you're first.
Again, thank you for being here. Thank you for your questions. I'm ready to go home. It's been an eventful night. But again, I just want to reiterate that you've given us a lot to look forward to do our homework on. And I think all of us up here are very eager to help meet your needs as citizens of the town. Again, I just want to say that I'm up here to serve you. I have been able to meet some of you through your questions, and I'd like to meet all of you. We all have concerns. We all want to be heard, and I want to hear you. I want to help make this town great, and not just a great place to live, but again, the best place to live. Thank you.
I too am grateful for all of you for coming and posing the questions that you've posed. There's a lot of community support for our town. We've talked about the library, we've talked about volunteerism. With volunteers, we need to let minor soccer, hockey, some of them will have to go out and recruit volunteers. I know from a Rotary perspective, we're always looking for members. So anyone who's interested, Ralph and I are probably pretty interested in sharing what Rotary's vision is for Raymond and what we can do. There's a lot of good questions, a lot which are very hard for the group that we have right here. Without a lot of study and a lot of information, it's hard for us to really have a true answer for you. Greg's probably the only one that's got some of the background because he's been there. But for us, once we're elected, our learning curve isn't going to be gradual. It's 90 degrees and straight up. And we're going to have to spend a lot of time and a lot of effort to catch ourselves up. We'll have to go back through many of the minutes of previous council meetings to find out what's been discussed. I was there a couple weeks ago. My eyes were open quite a bit just from what was discussed at that one meeting. But I hope to have an open and transparent municipality, one that communication is key. We need to be able to share thoughts and ideas one with another. With that communication, the rumor mill will be able to slow down. Because what we don't know, it's always fun to make up. And quite often, that often happens. And unfairly, some of the past councils have taken a brunt of some abuse and of some things that have happened that really didn't happen. And I look to create a town that is safe for everyone to be in, a fun place to live, and a place that will continue to be one that recycles. We have people that have been here for years and years, people that have gone, left, and came back. Why? Because there was something here. Sometimes it's not tangible, but there is something here. Let's keep that, and let's always remember to do the things that we need to. I'd like to close and just maybe promote Rotary just one time here. And this is the Rotary four-way test. This is what the Rotary clubs try to follow and work their clubs through. And it says the four-way test. Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? Hopefully, we as a new council will be given the chance to take the time to learn and to be able to speak the truth and have a town that's beneficial for all concerned. Thank you.
Thank you for bringing those excellent concerns and ideas to our attention. Still very proud of Raymond. To ensure Raymond keeps its appeal, I would like to make communication a priority. I've said it before, I think communication and review and report is necessary. We need accountability and transparency that the residents clearly need. I would like to see Town Council hold a regular review and report meeting for the citizens. Peace officers, I know I was shortened to a minute on that one, and I had a lot to say. But I really do want a constant presence. I want them patrolling and not parked at night to put the residents at ease. And I think that their presence would be more effective with the community for prevention. Our residents, including me, have a long list of improvements and basic maintenance that we expect. And we need to support our local business and find reasonable and appealing incentives for businesses to come to Raymond. And if we're going to do that, we're going to apparently have to build or prepare for the new builders by keeping lots for them. And I think I'd be amiss if I sat down without saying that with respect to the golf course, I think that bringing in alcohol should be a last resort.
Thank you for coming here tonight. We really appreciate your attendance, and I'll try and make this really quick. In conclusion, you know, Dr. Bridge, thank you for saying that we do live in the best place in the whole world. I believe that. A couple of issues I just wanted to clarify. We do need to develop those lots in our town, have them available. We need to do that from the inside out. We need to offer incentives and create some ways that some of those inside lots, we can incentivize those people who own those inside lots, those backs of lots, to get used. They're just sitting there growing weeds, okay? Volunteerism. I am so big on volunteerism. We are not using these amazing people that we have in this community. The people are our biggest asset. And I believe that we need more people to serve in town. Not everybody's going to be able to get a job with the town, although there's a lot who have a job with the town. Not everybody's going to be able to get a job with the town. We need more people to serve, to volunteer with all the many projects. We need them to take ownership of the town. When you work in a situation where you're close to what's going on with an event or a sport or whatever it is, you own that. And you want to make it better. And so we need those people. I would love to see more outside committees organized through the council to encourage and promote good things in our town. We need more help with policing, safety, cultural arts, teams and sports, beautifying sports and paths, maintaining beautiful facilities and residents, more Chamber of Commerce involvement, more viable business, more community spirit. This takes a lot of people. We're not going to do it. The town employees are not going to do it. There is an unlimited number of people who can be included and engaged in good causes if they are asked to join the army of friends and family who will be willing to work together to improve our town. So let's get doing that. What I see, Pam, that was a good question. What I see for that is everybody gets a bill for their taxes. Why could we not include a place where they could go online and say, these are my skills. This is what I'm good at. This is what I am about. These are my hobbies. Even if we didn't ask them to volunteer, they could just fill that out. Then when we form these committees, you can ask some of those people, we could have a record of that, and ask some of those good people to join us. They need to be asked, I agree. In conclusion, I feel that I am worthy for you to represent you on town council because I have personality traits that you may want. I am pretty enthusiastic. I am the eternal optimist, just ask my husband. I am a person who thinks outside the box. I am a worker. I am a person who can gather people, gather the troops, and delegate and get some work done. Just ask my kids. I am your best candidate. These are my 2 qualifying questions for all decisions that I will make. Will this attract new businesses and/or residents into Raymond so that our tax base can be increased? The next question, does this maintain our safety and small town feel and appeal? If I can answer positively to those questions, I'm going to look at all the information and make a decision for you. Thank you.
I just want to address a few questions that were answered that I didn't have a chance to answer. First with Anne, the library, valuable resource. As a teacher, there's nothing better than to walk into a classroom and see kids with books in their hands. That's our future leaders, and it's very important that they start off that way. Very important. Transparency within the town. I think the town has done a remarkable job putting minutes and agendas online. We've gotten the council briefs in the mail. They do a good job of using social media nowadays to let the community know what's going on, so I applaud them with that. Decals on the trucks is something that when I grew up they used to have all the time, and I don't know why it's not there anymore. I think that's something that definitely needs to take place. Infrastructure is crucial, especially if we want to develop. Bringing in bigger water lines and sewer lines to areas is important, and it does cost money. And so as a council, we're going to have to work together with the mayor and decide what the best way to use that money. I think of Wally Tallstrip's land he has on the southwest part, and it would be great if we could join with an investor or get a few investors together to build homes and create opportunities for people to come to town, including reduction in permit and fees. Having built a few houses in town myself, it blows me away when I have to go and meet with the development people here, and the costs seem to always go up. And when I talk to Park Enterprises in Lethbridge, they tell me that fees are staying the same, so I'm not sure exactly where the money's going that we are paying for those type of services. Infrastructure, again, improvements in the Northwest. Sometimes I think that the Northwest gets neglected, and that's an area that we need to look into. Parks need to be safe for our kids. The park on the south side, which was across the street from my first home I built, ridiculous, very dangerous, and being in school, it would never last in a school because it's outdated and again, dangerous. Lighting issues. Having put new LED lights into my house, I had the choice of going with 2,700 lumens all the way up to 5,000 lumens. I'm not sure exactly what Ford has put into our streetlights, but you're right, it is a joke and again, dangerous. Going into the peace officer situation, I do think there's a need for peace officers. Having unfortunately been a victim of 2 thefts in the last year, I really understand the need of having a presence in town, not necessarily there to ticket. I disagree with the tickets that have been going for the last couple of years that just seem to just always be happening for little things. But I do believe that we do need them to have a presence, especially in our school zones as well. But having shifts later in the evening is very important to help deter maybe some kids that might, or adults that might make it the wrong choice. As in conclusion, I have been a volunteer most of my life, and I do so because I love my community. It gives me an opportunity to work and get to know other people. Again, with the Raymond Minor Baseball Association, I've had people that come in and we do we send our emails out and we get people to come in. Sometimes it is difficult to get people to volunteer. And what Joan said, I think sometimes we do need to make some calls. Having a survey, I think, is a great idea to allow people to have a source to where people can volunteer. But those are improvements that we can make as a council. The new mayor and council will need to be united in a positive effort to make decisions that is going to advance our town. I appreciate your time and interest in choosing the best representatives to serve. I hope that I'm one of the 6 that gets chosen to represent to you and the rest of this community for the next 4 years. Your support on October 16th would be much appreciated. Thank you.
I'm a little shorter. I need it more in this direction. Thank you again for coming this evening. We have a lot to think about, a lot to do, and a lot to contemplate in our responsibilities if we're elected to council. We have 10 good individuals up here who are willing to serve and want to serve. I think what's important that we remember, though, is you, the people, the residents of the community, are Raymond. And an elected council are merely the voices of the town of Raymond and the people of Raymond in the decisions that need to be made. We need your input, we need your guidance, we need your direction. Much has been said about volunteerism, participation in committees, and all of those things this evening. I am wholeheartedly in favor of that process, and I see opportunities for many of you to serve in capacities that will be beneficial to the community. We need to work shoulder to shoulder. We hope that at the end of October, this excitement and this desire to be a part of the community will still be there. We don't want to be left alone and stranded in our process and in the work that we are doing. As an accountant, I look at numbers. Numbers are quite peculiar in a lot of ways. If you think about it, a number is very precise. 1 means 1, 5 means 5. 1,000,000 means 1,000,000. But the fascinating factor about numbers is that they can be manipulated. You can look at numbers or a set of numbers, and one individual will see one thing, another individual will see totally another thing. That's why it's important that we have a group that can work together and look at those numbers and determine what are the benefits that we can derive from the numbers, be it the expenses that we incur, the costs that we are putting out for infrastructure, whatever the basis, whatever the work that we are doing. Are we getting the bang for the buck from our staff, our management, from ourselves as council members? Are we fulfilling what we need to do for the money that we are receiving? All of these things are important, and if you look at a community, there's been a lot of talk about the community being a business and being run like a business. I agree and I disagree. I think that there are many aspects of a business that can be applied to a community, and they need to be applied to the community. Budgeting, sticking to budgets, cost controls, those types of things. One big difference between a community and a business, though, is a business is there to make a profit. A community isn't there to make a profit. A community is there to provide the services and benefits that are needed in the community for the benefit of the citizens of the community. And we need to spend every penny we earn and gather through grants, whatever it may be, to the benefit of the community. And it's our responsibility to be sure that we spend those dollars wisely and in the right manner. Your input will help us. I came to this community some 21 years ago. I happened to meet somebody I really liked, and she wanted to live in Raymond, and I happened to be living in Cardston. And so I conceded. And I will never regret the opportunity to live in Raymond. It has become a part of me. My goal on coming was to return to Cardston as soon as possible. That hasn't happened, and it may never happen. I don't know. I love this community. I love the people in the community, and I know that as we work together, we can accomplish the things that are out there facing us. We can complete the infrastructure needs that we have. We can complete the parks, the paths, the other items that will make this city beautiful, which will attract people. My time is dinging, I can hear it. We have much to do in the community, and there are many decisions that we need to make. Please don't leave us out here hanging. Help us continue to provide us with input, direction, and guidance. We're here to serve you, and I especially am grateful for that opportunity if I am elected. I appreciate your support. Thank you very much.
4 minutes, that we said? Agreed on? Okay. All right. I want to thank everyone for coming. It's a good turnout tonight. Not as quite as many as we had last night, but very good turnout, and that tells me that there are people here that are concerned about the community, and there are people that want to know what we're going to do to make this town better. I jotted down a few things. Bryce, I think, in his opening remarks mentioned about why do we run for council? Why do we want that? Why do we want to go uptown and everyone's always asking us questions, you know, what about this? What about that? Well, that's why I am running. I like to talk. And you can ask my wife. She sends me for a jug of milk. We only live 2 blocks from the Merc. It takes me 45 minutes to get there and get back. And I don't walk. So, but that's why I'm running for council. I want to be part of this community. I feel I am part of this community. I want to serve the community. I mentioned earlier that I love to volunteer. That's what gives me satisfaction in life, is volunteering, making other people's happy. I worked for ACO Gas for 27 years as a customer service repairman, and the best part of my job is going to people's homes and making them happy and solving problems, and that's what I enjoy doing. I'm very lucky that I'm married to a very supportive wife, a great wife, that supports me in everything, and with my 5 children, they also support me, and even though Dad's not home as often as maybe he should be, they understand that I'm out there trying to make things better, for them, to live in a better community. Some of the things that are brought up tonight that I didn't get a chance to address, I think we need to honor our heritage and our history in this town. I think every generation goes by, a little bit of that gets lost after every generation. One thing I'd like to do is improve the walking path and extend it. And along the walking path, wouldn't it be nice to have some benches there, a couple of trees, and by the benches have a little plaque explaining some of our heritage. I don't know how many people know, I was in Scott Barton's office a few weeks ago, and he has a picture on the wall, and it has the 10 things that Raymond's known for being the first to do, or the first to have. 3 of those things is, one is we all know that we are the home of the first stampede in Canada. We're also the home of the first sugar factory in Canada. And even what I'm even more proud of is that Raymond was the first town to accept the Japanese after the World War in this area. And they are a huge part of this town. They're a huge part of our heritage, and they are a huge part of what made this town what it is today. They helped build this town, and I think that we could have these plaques along the path for kids and for seniors to read about and be proud about and to learn. I didn't get a chance to talk about the arena. I kind of wish that was directed towards me. For those that know me, I love hockey, I love skating, I love the arena. I have fought to keep that arena open. The year we moved back here, it was on the ballot whether we want to keep the arena open or not, and 69% voted in favor of keeping the arena open, which I thought was great. We had a discussion about a year or just over a year ago about that. I'm very passionate about that. I think that it's been utilized a lot better in the last 5 years than it was previously. And it's not losing quite as much money as it used to lose. And I commend the town for doing that. They got some good people working here that have developed programs to make sure that is being used. Another thing, I'd like to bring more recreation to the town. We have our Victoria Park, which is great. We have a beautiful golf course, but there are kids that aren't involved in organized sports, and I'd like to bring something like a skate park. We have groups of kids that drive to Lethbridge a couple times a week to go to a skate park. Wouldn't it be nice if we had one here that they could just use all the time? Just lost my page here. Okay. I hear the time go by. I got a couple more things real quick here. If I am elected, I will work hard. I guarantee that. I'm not going to make any promises, because promises, promises sometimes are made to be broken, but I'm not going to sit here and say we're going to reduce the taxes, we're going to do this, and we're going to do that, because that's something that we have to do as a council. I can't do it as a single person, but I will work in your benefit to make this town better. Like I said, I volunteer, especially with the youth. I do a lot of coaching, and one of my favorite coaches that I've read lots about is John Wooden. I don't know how many know John Wooden. He coached the UCLA Bruins basketball team for many, many years, and was a phenomenal coach. And I just want to end in a quote of him saying that he was asked one time what makes him such a great coach and why he has such great teams, and he says, "I coach people, I don't coach athletes." And what he meant by that is he coaches people to be better people. He doesn't coach them to be better basketball players. And I think we take that into our own lives, that we need to help each other and be better people, not necessarily, like when I coach the youth, I don't teach them to be better soccer players or hockey players. I coach them to be better people so they can be a better part of the community and they can grow in the community, and they are our future. And I know I'm running out of time. I'd love to talk to you afterwards if anybody wants to talk afterwards, and I hope that you decide I'm one of the 6 lucky people. Thank you.
It's great that you still lasted all this time. All the items that you brought up, I think at the very first town council meeting, those items should be discussed, prioritized, and acted upon from day one. I didn't give you a background on myself. I've got management experience in research with the Government of Canada. I feel like I'm an independent thinker. I own a business downtown. I manage the mall downtown. I built 3 homes in Raymond. I like to listen to citizens' concerns such as what we've had tonight. And with regard to volunteer work, lots of people are busy volunteering. I think an untapped market for that is perhaps our seniors. We should take a look at getting some of them involved with volunteer work. I'm recipient of a National Government of Canada Research Award. I have a vision for Raymond. What I think we need is smart ideas. Not just ideas, but smart ideas, such as what the town did with the hospital and the clinic, where they're a teaching facility. What they've done is they've enhanced and solidified their position for the benefit of each of us. I believe I've got a unique background, and I look at things a little bit differently than most people do. Raymond has always wanted to be the first in sports. Why don't we have the highest voter percentage turnout in the province? Now, this idea might be a little far-fetched, but why couldn't we have Victoria Sports Park, beautiful facility? Why couldn't we invite a CFL team to hold an exhibition game there or part of their training camp? If that happened, you have to dream the impossible sometimes. Something difficult takes a while, something seemingly impossible just takes a little bit longer. Now, everyone loves a sale. Why? What about the sale on lots, development fees from the town? A discount on subdividing these big lots, backyard lots. I would propose an incentive for new ideas for the town. Perhaps the person that puts forward an incentive that saves money would get 10% of the savings, up to a certain amount. Remember Martin Luther King's famous speech, "I have a dream"? Raymond needs a dream and a very detailed vision for the future, especially for the next 4 years. If you were around when JFK was president of the United States, when he said they were going to put a man on the moon, there were more than one skeptic. But there were enough believers who took up the challenge and made it happen. Remember those immortal words, "One small step for man, one giant step for mankind." If something is difficult, it takes a while. If it's seemingly impossible, it just takes a little longer with more energy and vision. Let's dream the impossible and make it happen here. Thank you.
You better buckle down. I've got some answers for you. In terms of the question, the ice arena this year and last year has been open on Sundays, in case no one knew. In terms of employee expenses, we have a team on our administration that does services for other municipalities. This service that we provide, we don't do for free. And we don't do it for the lack of the detriment of our own town. We recover 30% of our overall administrative costs from this program. This is a favorite topic of mine. Has anybody read the financial statements? All of it? All right. I'm encouraged that there's some here. That's good. It's not exciting stuff. I don't blame the ones that haven't, but let me just point it out to you. In terms of grants, we received, this is for capital, $4 million last year in grants. Let me throw you some numbers. Thank you. Let me throw you some other numbers. I have been compared in my salary to our friends in Cardston. They're getting a deal, but you're getting a better deal. We get grants, or they get grants. Last year alone, they got capital grants of $1.6 million. That's well over double. Coaldale, almost double our size. Grants last year, $1.8 million. Let me go back over Raymond's, $4 million. Expenses, we were talking about overall expenses. We pay our people too much. Let's go back to our friends down in Cardston. They have electric delivery. I've taken that out of this equation. Their overall expenses last year are $8.05 million. And yet they don't pay their council. Our overall expenses, including it, well, not including council, their overall expenses, $7.9 million. So there's a difference there. I want to go over a few more things. I'm sorry, I'm going to take more time. From 2008 to 2013, we issued $18 million in development permits. Where's Amelia? Is she still here? In the last 3 years, we have issued $51 million in development permits. Up to this year alone, our average of residential permits was a little over 200, so $242,000 in residential. That was the average value that we issued for a ticket. This year, we're averaged $420,000 in per permit for each home in Raymond built this year. If that is not progress that this council has worked hard for, I do not know what is. I'm going to throw one more number at you. I'm sorry, that's the way I am. From 2013 to 2017, does anybody know how much we raised taxes by? 0. Who has seen me on Facebook? How often? A lot. Don't tell my boss. I am not afraid to discuss the issues. I'm not afraid to be on the dark web. And if you want to talk to me and you want to find out information, all you got to do is ask. You may not like the answer, and I may not have the answer, but I'm willing to do the work and get it for you. We've heard issues all throughout this campaign, and I felt like coming out tonight as the only incumbent that's running for council with a target on my back. We've heard issues from the parade, to council pay, to parks, to peace officers, to the care center. I'm here to say that council isn't always right, if you can believe that. I'm not perfect. But I'll tell you what, if I'm man enough to admit that, I'm man enough to do the work that this is going to require for the next 4 years, and this council will need a transition. Here's my record. This is the list of committees that this council currently has. Every councillor is listed on this list, and they have their committees. Now, not all committees meet very often. Some meet monthly, quarterly, whatever. I have 11 committees, and it's not because I'm selfish. I work hard. That's my motto. That's what I'll do for you for the next 4 years. Tomorrow, I want you to go to my Facebook page. I have a 4-year vision plan. We don't have time to talk about everything tonight. I want you to please look at it. I'm going to post it up at the end of the day, and I want you to please reach out to me and tell me what you think. I want to know. That's the councillor that I am. If I don't hear from you and you don't communicate to this council that it's going forward, we're making the best decision with the information that's in front of us. Now, I want to thank these lovely ladies and these wonderful gentlemen for putting their name on a ballot. It is not easy. It is not easy to be an elected official. You get scrutinized, you get called names, you get put on the spot. You can't even go grocery shopping and get milk that's going to take less than 30 minutes. So I admire you. I admire your courage, and I think that you guys have got some tough decisions. All I ask is put my name on that ballot on the 16th. Thank you very much.
Well, it's been a very informative and enjoyable evening. I know I'm glad I was here. I hope you are as well. Join me in giving a round of applause for these fine people. And make sure you remember to vote.